morning, everyone. Once again, we are back on live streaming via YouTube, via Facebook streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. After speaking on the questions relating to the talks earlier, I begin the next three techniques to penetrate the inner centers. These are Sutras 15, 16 and 17. Techniques how to penetrate the inner centers. The 15th technique says, basically there are 7 centers, 7 openings. Ego has 7 openings. Closing the 7 openings of the head. Closing the 7 openings of the head with your hands, a space between your eyes become all inclusive. These are very precise, and in a few words a sutra is given. Like these are maxims or sutras which needs an explanation by one who understands these maxims. Sutra 15, closing the 7 openings of the mind with your hands, a space between your eyes become all inclusive. Technique 16, Blessed One, as senses are absorbed in the heart, reach the center of the lotus. Next sutra, unminded mind, keep in the middle until. These are the words of the sutras. Man, as such as he exists, it seems that he is a circumference, a circle without a center. His life is superficial. It is only on the circumference. You live on the outside and know nothing of the within. You cannot live unless you have discovered, you have found a center. You cannot live within because you do not have within or established a center. You are without a center. Only the outer exists. That is why we go on talking about the inner. How to go in, how to know yourself, how to penetrate inwards. But these words do not carry any authentic meaning. You know the meaning of the words, but you cannot feel what the words really mean because you are never in. you have never been in. Even when you are alone, your mind remains crowded. Even when you are alone in your mind, you are amidst a crowd. When no one is there outside, still you are not within. You go on thinking of others, you lie down on the bed in the night. But watch what thoughts keep on going in your mind. These show that you are on the outside. You're moving outward. In the forests of the world, even while asleep, you are dreaming of others. You are not within. Only in very deep sleep, when there is no dreaming, you are within. And when you are within during deep sleep, you become unconscious. So your whole consciousness consists of outward influence, outward wandering. And whenever we talk about going within, the words are understood. Words are understood, but not meaning. Words are simply the container that carry the deeper meaning. Because the meaning is not carried by the words. Meaning comes through the experience. When you have lived those words, only then an experience comes, and this experience brings the meaning. Words are without meaning. When I say within, you understand the word, but only the word, not the meaning, because there is no experience. We do not know what within is, because consciously you have never been within. Your mind is constantly outward going. You do not have any feel of what inner means or what it is. That is what I mean when I say you are a circle. You are a circumference without center. Only a circumference. The center is there, but you drop into it only when you are unconscious. Otherwise, you are conscious, you move outward, because your life is never intense. It cannot be. It is just lukewarm. You live in the head as if dead. You are deadly alive, living a dead-like life, existing at the minimum, not the maximum, not at the peak, but at the minimum. You can say I am, and that is all. You are not dead. That is what you mean by saying that I am alive. There is no exuberance. Seeing you Nothing seems to be overflowing. But life can never be known at the circumference. Life can be known only at the center. On the circumference, only lukewarm life is possible. So really, you live a very inauthentic life, and then even death becomes inauthentic, because one who has not been really alive or really lived cannot really die. Only authentic life can become authentic death. Then death becomes a beauty. Anything authentic becomes beautiful. Even life, if it is inauthentic, it is bound to be ugly. And your life is ugly, just rotten. Nothing happens. You simply go on waiting, hoping that something will happen somewhere, someday, but nothing happens. At the moment, there is just emptiness, and every moment has been like that in the past. Just empty. You are just waiting for the future, hoping that something will happen someday, but only hope remains. Then every moment as it comes is lost. It has never happened in the past, and it is not going to happen in the future either. It can happen only this very moment. And then you will need an intensity, a deep penetrating intensity. Then you will not, then and only then you will be rooted in the center. Then the periphery will not do. Then you have to find your moment. Really, we never think about what we are, and whatsoever we think is just useless. I have heard Osho mentioned an anecdote. He said, once I was living with a professor on the university campus. One day the professor came. He was very upset. So Osho asked him, what is the matter? The professor said, I feel feverish. I was reading something. Osho said, so I said to him, go to sleep. Take this blanket and rest. He went on the bed, but after a few moments said, no, I am not feverish. Really, I am angry. And why I am angry, he said, because someone insulted me and I feel much violence against him. And this made him feel feverish. Things like these happen. So Osho said, why did you say that you were feeling feverish? The professor said, I could not acknowledge the fact that I was angry because the society tells us not to get angry. But really I am angry. There is no fever. He threw off the blanket. Then Osho said, if you are not angry, take this pillow. Beat it. Be violent with it. Let your violence be released. And if the pillow is not enough, then he is available. You can beat me and let this anger be thrown out. The professor laughed, but his laughter was false, just painted on his face. It came on the face and then disappeared. He never penetrated in. It never came from within. It was just a painted smile. But the laughter, even false laughter, created a gap. He said, not really, I am not really angry. Someone said something before others, and that made me feel embarrassed. And this is the thing. So Osho told him, you are changing your statement about your feelings 3 times within half an hour. First you said you are feeling feverish, then you said you were angry, now you say that you are not angry but embarrassed. What is the real? The professor said, really I am embarrassed. Osho said, which? When you said you were feverish, you were also certain about that. Then when you said you were angry, you were also certain about that. And you are also certain about this, that you are embarrassed. Are you one person or many persons? For how long time this certainty going to continue? So the professor said, really I do not know what I am feeling. Accepted it. What it is, I do not know. I am simply disturbed. First I am feverish, then no, I am not feverish, I am angry. Oh, are you really angry? No, I am not angry, I am embarrassed. Oh, you are embarrassed for what? Someone had said something about me and that was upsetting. Oh, so you are embarrassed. Oh, no, I am just disturbed. Whatever to call it, anger or embarrassment or what, I do not know what to call it. But this is not the moment to discuss it with me. He said, leave me alone. You have made my situation philosophical. You are discussing what is real, what is authentic, and I am feeling very much disturbed. This is not only with some other person X, Y, and Z. It is the story of each one of us. You are never certain, because certainty comes from being centered. You are not even certain about yourself. It is impossible to be certain about. Then how can it be possible for you to be certain about others when you are never certain about yourself? There is just a vagueness, a cloudiness. Nothing is certain. People go on saying things. Someone told me, I am in love with someone and I want to marry that person. I looked into his eyes deeply for a few minutes without saying anything, and this made him feel restless. Whenever someone says that I am angry or this or that, penetrate into his eyes. He became restless and said, why are you looking at me? This feels awkward. I continued to look deep within. Then he said, do you think that my love is false? I still did not say anything, just continued looking. He said, why do you feel that this marriage is not going to be good? He said it by himself. I had not really thought it over very much. That is why I have come to you. Really, I do not know whether I am in love with this person or not. I have not said any word. Instead, I continued to look into the eyes of the person with a deep penetration. And this made him restless, and things which were inside begin to bubble up, begin to surface. Normally we are not certain. You cannot be certain about anything, never about love, nor about your hate, nor about your friendships. There is nothing which you can be certain about because you have no center. Certainty comes with center. Without a center, there is no certainty. All your feelings of certainty are false and momentary. That's why I gave you that anecdote which Osho had mentioned about one of the professors that he was staying with at the university campus. One moment you feel that you are certain, next moment that certainty is gone, because in each moment you are touching a different center, different points on the circumference. The center is one, but you have created many centers along the circumference. When you are moving on the surface along the circumference from A to B, you are moving through different centers. You do not have a permanent center, a crystallized center. Each moment is an atomic center. So each moment has its own self. You have only one authentic self, but each moment you have a different self. Gurdjieff used to say that man is really a crowd. Personality that we talk about is just a deception, because you are not a person, You are instead many persons. So when one person speaks in you, that is a momentary center. The next moment there is another. With every moment, with every atomic situation, you feel certain and you never become aware that you are just a flux. Many waves, but without center. Then in the end you will feel that life has been just a wastage. It is bound to be. There is just a wastage, a wandering, purposeless and meaningless. Tantra, yoga, religion, their basic concern, the basic concern of the spiritual life, whatever be the path that you have chosen, Tantra, yoga or anything else, their main concern is how to discover this center. How first to be an individual. They are concerned with how to find a center which persists and remains the same in every situation. Then as life goes on moving without, as the flux of life goes on and on, as waves arise on the surface, the center penetrates within, then you remain one, rooted, centered. These sutras 15, 16 and 17 are the techniques to find the inner center, how to connect you to the inner center. Various sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra has to be categorized in a particular way. Certain techniques are breathing, the other techniques are for different purposes. These sutras are how to penetrate the inner center. The center is already there because there is no possibility of being a circle or circumference without a center. Circle exists only because of the center, but you become oblivious of the center. So the center is the only reality that has been forgotten. It is there, but you are not aware of it. If it is there, then, but we do not know how to look at it. We do not know how the locus, what is the locus of the circumference, how to focus the circumference. The center is there, but you do not know how to look at it. You do not know how to focus the consciousness on it. This is the situation. The third technique about centering, closing the 7 openings of the head. With your hands, a space between your eyes become all-inclusive. This is one of the oldest technique, very much used, and one of the simplest one. Close all the openings of the head the ears, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. When all the openings of the head are closed, your consciousness, which is constantly flowing out, is stopped suddenly. It cannot move out. You may not have observed, even if you stop breathing for a moment, suddenly your mind stops. Because with breathing, mind moves on. That is the condition with the mind. You must understand what conditioning means. Then only this sutra will be understood. Pavlov was one of the most famous Russian psychologists. It was he who created the term conditioning or conditioned reflexes, a day-to-day word used all over the world. Everyone who is acquainted with psychology, even a little, knows the word. Two processes of thought, any two processes can become so associated that if you start with one, then the other will also be triggered. That is the famous Pavlovian example. Pavlov worked with a dog. He found that if you put dog food before the dog, its saliva begins to flow. The tongue of the dog comes out and it begins to get ready, prepared for eating. This is natural. When he is seeing the food or even imagining the food, saliva starts flowing. But Pavlov conditioned this process with another. Whenever the saliva would start to flow and the food was there, he would do some other thing. As soon as the food is put in front of the dog, saliva begins to come and it is ready to eat. But he did something else with it. Pavlov conditioned this process with another. Whenever the saliva would start to flow and the food was there, he would do something else. For example, he would ring a bell and the dog will listen to the bell ringing for 15 days. Whenever the food was placed, the bell would ring. Then on the 16th day, food was not placed before the dog, only the bell was rung, but still the saliva started flowing. The tongue came out as if the food was there. But there was no food, only the bell was ringing. There is no natural association between the ringing of the bell and the saliva. The natural association is with food. Natural association is with food. Now continuous ringing of the bell had become associated with it, and even the ringing of the bell would start the process. According to Pavlov, and he is right, our whole life is a conditioned process. The mind is a conditioning. Thus, if you stop something in the conditioning, every other associated thing will also stop. For example, you cannot think without breathing. Thinking has always been associated with breathing. You are not conscious of breathing, but breathing is there continuously, day in and day out. Every thought, every thinking process is associated with breathing. If you stop breathing suddenly, thoughts will also stop. If you slow down your breathing, if your breathing slows down, the thinking process slows down as well. If you stop breathing, suddenly thoughts will also stop. And if all the 7 holes, the 7 openings of the mind are closed, your consciousness cannot move outwards. Through the eyes, you see something, you move outward. Through the ears, you heard something, you move outward. Through the eyes, you saw a beautiful dish. Through the nostrils, you smelled its aroma. Mind went out. The thought came to order that dish. You saw the glimpse of a beautiful person. The aroma of the perfume reached your nostrils. Mind went out. This is how it happens. Every moment mind is going out. These are the 7 openings of the head. But the moment breathing, everything, just as in case of the dog, the experiment that Pavlov did, because it is quite natural, the moment the food is placed in front of the dog, saliva begins to flow and its tongue comes out. But while the food was put, he rung a bell. And he continued to do it for 15 days. On 16th day, he found that the bell was ringing, there was no food, yet still the saliva came out. So, it is conditioned association, not natural. When you're breathing, you observe your breathing or become aware of your breathing, it slows down. All the 7 doors of the head are closed. Your consciousness suddenly cannot move outwards. If you cannot hear what's going on or what the other person said, then your consciousness cannot move outward. It remains in. And that remaining in creates a space between the 2 eyes. This space is known as the 3rd eye. And if all the 7 holes, 7 openings of the head are closed, Your consciousness suddenly cannot move outwards and it remains within. That remaining within creates a space between the eyebrows, creates the space between the two eyes on the eyebrow. This is space. This is the third eye. If all the openings of the head are closed, there is no possibility of moving outward, because you have always been moving out through these openings. Through the eyes you see, through the ears you heard, through the nostrils you smelled, through the touch you felt. When you remain in, and with your consciousness remaining in, it becomes centered between the two eyes on the eyebrow. It remains in between the two eyes focused. That spot is the third eye. This space becomes all inclusive. The sutra says that in this space everything is included. The whole existence is included. If you can feel that space, you have felt all. Once you can feel inside this space between the two eyes, you have known the existence. Sometimes there is a very strong sensation here. As I am speaking to you, I am not hearing anything, I am not smelling anything, I am not seeing anything. Even when I am seeing you on the screen, I am seeing you emptiness. There is a strong sensation. Once you can feel the inside this space between the two eyes, then you have known the existence, the totality of it, because this inner space is all inclusive, nothing is left outside it. The Upanishad says, knowing the one knows all. These two eyes can only see the finite. The third eye is infinite. These two eyes can only see the material. The third eye sees the immaterial, spiritual. With these two eyes, you can never feel the energy. You can never see the energy. You can only see the matter. But with the third eye, the energy is seen. This closing of the opening is the wave of centering. Because once the stream of consciousness cannot flow out, it remains at its source. The source of consciousness is third eye. If you are centered in the third eye, many things happen. The first is discovering that whole world, the universe is within you. Swami Ram Tirth used to say that sun moves in me, the stars moves in me, the moon rises in me, the whole universe is within me. When he said this, for the first time his disciples thought that he has gone crazy. How does stars be in Ramatirtha? He was talking about the third eye, the inner space. When for the first time this inner space becomes illumined, this is the feeling. When you see that everything is in you, you become the cosmos, the universe. The third eye is not part of your physical body. The space between two eyes is not the space which is confined in your body. It is the infinite space which has penetrated in you, and you have discovered it now. Once this space is known, you will never be the same person again. The moment you know this inner space, you have known that which is deathless. You have known there is no death. When you know this space for the first time, your life will be authentic, intense. For the first time you are really alive. Now no security is needed. Now no fear is possible. You know that you cannot be killed. Now nothing can be taken away from you. Now the whole universe belongs to you. You are the universe. Those who have known this inner space, they have cried in ecstasy, Aham Brahmasmi. I am the universe, ever expanding existence. Sufi mystic Mansur was murdered only because of this experience of the third eye, when he said Analhaq. When for the first time he became aware of this inner space, he started crying, I am God. And it is blasphemy in Islamic tradition. In India, he would have been worshipped, because India has known many persons who has come to know this inner space, the third eye. But in a Mohammedan country, it is difficult to conceive. And Mansur's statement that I am God, Analhaq, was taken to be something anti-religious blasphemy, because Mohammedans cannot conceive that man and God can ever become one. Man is man, the created, and God is the creator. So how can the creator become how can the created become the creation? Whereas the Sanatan says the creation and the creator are one. So the statement of Mansur Analhaq could not be understood, and he was murdered. And when he was being murdered, he was laughing. So someone said, why are you laughing? Mansur said, it is reported, Mansur is reported to have said, I am laughing because you are not killing me. and you cannot kill me. You are deceived by this body. I am not the body. I am the creator of this universe, and I was my finger which moved this whole universe in the beginning. In India, he would have been understood easily. The language has been known for centuries and centuries. We have known the moment this happens. When the inner space is known, then one can simply go crazy. And this realization is so certain that even if you kill a Mansoor, he will not change his statement, because really you cannot kill him as far as he is concerned. Now he has become the entire universe, and there is no possibility of destroying that. After Mansoor, Sufis learn that it is good to be silent. So in Sufi tradition, after Mansoor, it has been consistently taught to the disciple, whenever you come to the third eye, remain silent and do not say anything. Whenever this happens, just keep quiet. Do not say anything, or you will go on. Do not say, or just go on formally saying things which people can understand. So Islam has two traditions. One is just ordinary, the outward, the exoteric. Another, the real Islam. And Sufism is the real Islam, the esoteric. And Sufis remain silent because Mansoor, they have learned that to talk in that language which comes out when the third eye opens is to be unnecessarily in difficulty, and this helps one. So the sutra says, closing the 7 openings of the head with your hands, a space between your third eye becomes all-inclusive. Your inner space becomes all. I will begin with the next technique tomorrow. Blessed One, as senses are absorbed in the heart, reach the center of the lotus. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.